Hi lovelies, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Maria and today's video is going to be a book haul, and I think I went a little bit overboard in October. I'm not really sure how I managed to accumulate all of these books. It actually goes above where the camera can see. There is quite a big pile of books here, and normally I would go through kind of a list of reasons or excuses in reality as to why I have this many, but I really don't know. I don't know how I ended up accumulating this much this month. So we're basically just going to go through them all. I know this is a lot of books. I don't tend to buy this many each month, but something was going on in October and I obviously had a bit of a crazy month when it came to book buying. So no justification, but I don't really feel like I need it. I'm an adult at the end of the day. I can spend my money on books if I want to, but just know that I know this isn't a normal amount of books to buy in a month. So just that little disclaimer out of the way. But yeah, as I say, we've got a lot of books to get through, so without further ado, let's just get into the book haul. So I'm literally just doing this from the top of the pile down because I don't really know what order to do these in. So as I say, I'm just going to take from the top and go through them as we go through. So the first book I've got is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. Now Adrienne Young is an author that I kind of associate more with a bit of literary fiction and magical realism because I've read her books Spells for Forgetting and The Unmaking of June Farrow, which were a bit more literary leaning, I would say. This one I believe is a young adult, and I believe this was out before them. And I think this is a bit more fantasy led as well. I think it's to do with fake kings or something like that. Yeah, I think it's a duology. I think this may have actually been her debut as well, and I've just heard some really great things about this book and I really love Adrienne Young's writing. I've actually recently also finished a fantasy book by her called Fallen City. I think it will be out by the time this video goes up, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited to dive into this one because I know I love her writing and I hadn't been sure on whether I would enjoy a more fantasy-led story by her, but now that I've read Fallen City, I definitely think I will enjoy this one because I gave that one 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. So I'd had this on my kind of mental TBR for quite a while, but decided to pick up a copy of this month. Next up, I've got A Curious Beginning by Diana Rayborn, and honestly, I don't really know too much about this one. I know it's set in kind of Victorian London, but the main reason I picked this one up is because Katie is Reading always talks about this one. I'll link her channel in the description below, but she's always talking about this series. I think it's the Veronica Speedwell series. So I think it's a bit of a mystery. I think there's a little bit of fantasy in there as well. And I think, as I say, this just centres a Victorian age where this young girl has just lost her aunt and she's about to pursue some travels and hopefully a little romantic dalliance along the way, and she ends up thwarting her own abduction essentially in some way and is put into the care of this guy called Stoker, and that's all I know. But I think there's quite a few books in this series. I think there's like 5 or 6, so be really intrigued to see what this series has to hold. And as I say, Katie is Reading just always talks about this one and says that she really loves the series, so I was just interested to see what it was all about, so decided to pick this up. Next up is a book that I have already read. I absolutely love this book. It's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I do want to try and reread this at some point, so I thought I would pick up the kind of floppy paperback edition. This is the US edition, because if I'm highlighting and things like that, I just think this edition is going to be so much better for annotating and it's just going to be easier to hold. I only have special editions of this one, so wanted to get a paperback, and I had seen the UK one, but I really love kind of the simplicity of this cover, so decided to pick up the US paperback on Books Please. And this one, if you don't know about it, is following Addie LaRue, who is born in, I think it's the 1700s or something like that. Yeah, 1714 in France. She's just about to get married, as one does at that time, because that's all she really has to look forward to in her life, but she doesn't want to accept that. She wants to kind of forge her own path and ends up making a deal with this kind of devil to live forever. The only problem is that part of the deal is that once people meet her, they will forget her immediately. So we're kind of watching her trying to navigate life. It's very much a character study in this one. I absolutely loved it. Love the writing in here. It is quite slow paced. As I said, it is character driven, so may not be for everyone, but I just loved the really lush writing in here. And as I say, really hoping to reread this one soon. And I think this edition is just going to be the perfect copy to read and annotate because it is so floppy. I just wish the UK books were the same as this. Then next up, I've got Salt and Broom by Sharon Lynn Fisher, and I actually got this recommendation on a poll that I done on YouTube community where I was just asking what people's favourite reads were because I was thinking of doing a vlog of my viewers' favourite reads, and this one came up and basically it was pitted as GNR but make it witchy, and that's all I know about it and that's all I need to know. Absolutely love GNR. I had hoped to get to this in October but didn't manage to pick it up, but I think I could read it anytime in the winter as well. Even though it is witchy, I think it's going to be quite dark. Just looking at this cover, I definitely think it's going to have a bit of a dark undertone, so haven't heard anybody talk about this one, so it was a really out there kind of suggestion, but I'm really glad that they did recommend it because GNR with witchy themes sounds like a perfect mix to me, so I'll be really excited to read this one once I get to it. Next up, I got a physical copy of Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. I did have an e-arc for this one, and I do have a vlog where I'm reading this. It was my spend a bookish day with me. I'll link it in the description if I remember, but I had the e-arc for this one, and it is a bit of a Christmas romance. We're basically following a character who gets visited by the ghost of Christmas past and has to kind of figure out why she's getting visited by him, what she needs to change in her life, and we're following them along as they do that. Obviously there's a bit of a romance there, but really loved this one. I ended up rating a 4.5 stars. I had a few little niggles, but they were honestly really minor, so in terms of a romance, I really loved this one. If you've read from B.K. Borison before, I think you'll really love this. I love her book First Time Caller, and I did love Love Life Farms, but I didn't love the second book in that series, but I have heard that the third and the fourth book are better than the second book, so I'm hopefully going to revisit that series as well, because I've really loved everything else I've read by B.K. Borison, so I'm really glad I gave her a second chance when I read First Time Caller, because she's fast becoming a favourite romance author for me. And this is the edition that I got from The Works. They do have some pretty sprayed edges on there, and I just think this cover is absolutely stunning, so even regardless of what the story is about, it's such a pretty cover to have around the holiday season. But yeah, I have read this one, absolutely loved it, gave it like 4.5 stars, so highly recommend. So this next one's a bit of an outlier in terms of books that I would normally pick up. I do think this is YA, or it could even be middle grade, but it's His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. So the first three books in that series, called Northern Lights, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. So quite honestly, this is just a book that I've wanted to read literally as long as I can remember. I remember being in the library when I was really young and seeing these books, and I think they were in the adult section, but they caught my eye straight away, and I just thought because they were in the adult section I wasn't allowed to read them, so I never did read them, and then I kind of forgot about them. And I think recently the last book in this like long series, I think we followed this one character called Lyra throughout the series, and I think the last book in the series just came out recently, and it made me think about this series again. And there were a couple of special editions that I'd seen, but it didn't really seem like they were going to be that readable in terms of just the structure of the books, and managed to see this kind of, I think this is Everyman's Library edition, and I just thought it was actually really pretty. It's a really nice kind of classic looking style, and the actual book as well is going to be pretty easy to read, and has all three books within here, so a bit of a weird reason probably to decide on this edition, but when I seen it on Waterstones I just thought it would be a good edition to pick up if I am going to read this series. And as I say, all I really know about this one is we're following this character who I believe is orphaned. I think there's a parallel universe in here. I know it is kind of a fantasy. I think there's kind of theology themes in here as well, and that's all I really know. As I say, it's just a bit of an early memory I have of seeing these books in the library when I was there, thinking I couldn't read them because they were in the adult section, which I think they were probably in there incorrectly, but it was always a series that I meant to get back to and just never did, so decided to pick this up. Maybe 2026 will be the year that I end up reading this one. Then next up I got a special edition of Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, so I am hoping to do a reread of The Hunger Games. I read it years ago, you know, literally probably when the books were coming out, and again my intention in 2025 was to read those three so that I could read the prequel books that have been coming out, and I just haven't got around to rereading it, so hopefully again 2026 will be my year to do that. But decided to pick up this copy of this book because it's just absolutely stunning. So it's foiling on the naked hardback we've got here, and it just follows the whole way around. And then we've got some nice sprayed edges as well. So this one is following Haymitch's story, and that's all I really know about it. Obviously if you've read or watched The Hunger Games, you'll know Haymitch is a character within there. This is a prequel novel, so you kind of know how it's going to end, but I'm really intrigued to see how the story goes from start to finish and how we kind of get to that point. And I've just seen so many people loving these prequel novels, so I do also need to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I haven't read yet, but as I say, hopefully going to do a reread of The Hunger Games next year, and then I'll be able to pick these up. But I just thought this was a really pretty edition, so when I seen it was coming out, I thought I would snap it up for when I'm ready to pick it up. Next up I got Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake. So this is her newest novel. It came out at the end of October. Yeah, I think it was the end of October this came out. Again, I had an e-arc of this one, so I did get to read it just before it came out, and I already had this pre-ordered. Olivia Blake is one of my favourite authors, so I did already have this book on pre-order, but thankfully I did end up really enjoying this one. I ended up giving it 4 stars. But in this one there's just a lot of themes of kind of motherhood, the challenges of motherhood, kind of women comparing themselves to other women, trying to keep up with the Joneses, and what it really means to kind of have it all as a woman. So I really loved the way that the themes were explored in here. It's explored through this university professor who is trying to get back into teaching after she's just had a baby. And then we've also got another side of it where we're following kind of a sorority and these girls trying to get into this sorority. So a couple of different kind of angles, but it really was just all about kind of womanhood and trying to be the girl boss, trying to be the best mother, trying to make sure you don't have a hard of place and things like that. But I don't think this will be for everyone. It does get a little unhinged at times, but if you liked Mona Awad's Bunny, I think you'll really like this as well. I feel like it had the same kind of vibes, but it wasn't quite so fever dream in its prose, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed it, but I do know that it probably won't be for everyone. Next up, I got a copy of The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. Again, I did have an e-arc of this one and ended up absolutely loving this. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know that this is an author that I've been kind of striving to find a novel that I really love by her. And for one reason or another, I just haven't connected with the stories that I've read in the past. But when I heard the themes of this one and it was going to be kind of lady night vibes and a bit of a tragic love story, I thought it sounded like it would be right up my alley. So decided to give this a go, and honestly, I absolutely adored this. Ended up giving a 4.5 stars. As I say, it's definitely got lady night vibes. We're following this lady knight who was basically the hero of this kingdom and is a bit of a legend in the main POV that we're following of this historian who has been obsessed with her his whole life. And that's all I really want to say. This is a pretty short book, and I would actually suggest just not reading the synopsis of this one and just going into it blind, because I feel like the synopsis gave quite a bit away. So I'd say if you're going to read this one, maybe go into it a little bit blind, because the synopsis does kind of give away the main gist of what this story is going to be about. But even though I did kind of know that, I still really enjoyed it. Loved the prose in here. I've always loved Alex E. Harrow's prose, so was really excited to get a book where I finally enjoyed the actual story as well. And yeah, I think this cover is absolutely stunning. So this is the Waterstones exclusive edition, but I think this is the normal cover, and it's just so beautiful. But the Waterstones edition does also have these sprayed edges. Then this one is signed and has some pretty end papers on there as well. Not sure if you're seeing the signature, if that's getting bleached out, but yeah, regardless, just a really pretty edition. So literally as soon as I finished the e-arc, I went on and ordered a copy because I just wanted to have a bit of a trophy on my shelf, and especially because it's the first book of Alex E. Harrow that I've loved, I just really wanted that physical trophy to kind of commemorate that. Next up, an author that I have had a lot of luck with is Laini Taylor, and this is, I believe, a republication of an early book that she brought out. So it's The Guardians of Dreamdark, and it's part of the Wind Witch series. So I haven't read this. I think this is more middle grade / young adult, or on the younger end of young adult anyway. And all I really know about this one is it's following a young girl who is kind of the last devil hunter within this land. The fairies have been living peacefully for quite some time, and she ends up going on this mission that brings her into these dreamdark woods, and that's all I really know. I think it's probably going to be quite whimsical. Laini Taylor's writing is quite whimsical and poetic and always has kind of a dark undercurrent, so I'm expecting, even though this is YA or middle grade, that this will probably have the same feeling. But again, she's one of my favourite authors, so as soon as I seen she was republishing this, I decided to pick up a copy, and I really love this cover. It's definitely giving Strange the Dreamer vibes, if you've read that book by her. And this is just a standard edition, but it does actually have some foiling on the front as well, so I just thought that was really pretty. But essentially, Laini Taylor's just one of those authors that if she writes it and if she publishes it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm running out of space to put them on the other side, so you're probably just gonna see another big pile going up here. Next up, I did end up getting the traditionally published edition of Daughter of No Worlds. I do have the indie copies of these, but it's one of my favourite series, and when I seen it was getting republished, again, I just decided that I wanted to get these new copies as well, because I love Carissa Broadbent and I really love this series as well. It's actually my favourite series from her, and as these are signed editions as well, I really wanted to pick up this copy. So if you haven't heard of Daughter of No Worlds, following our main character Tasana, who at the start of this is very oppressed. She's kind of been oppressed her whole life. She's been one of the slaves within this world. She ends up breaking free from her oppressor, and her journey takes her into the arms of this organisation who want to use a power that she's been trying to hide for her entire life as a bit of a weapon, and the story goes from there. The story really takes off from there as well, and honestly, Carissa Broadbent's writing in here was just stunning. I absolutely love this series, and as I say, this is the special edition that they came out with, and it is signed by Carissa Broadbent, and these are really what sold me on it. These sprayed edges are honestly just so pretty. And then we do have this design on the naked hardback as well. Carissa Broadbent does tend to do that with most of her traditionally published books as well. So again, just a really pretty edition all round. And I will say, when they first came out with kind of the design of these covers, I wasn't hugely enamoured by them, but seeing it in real life, I do think this is really pretty. So if you were questioning whether you were going to get this one, I would say that I'm really glad I got this, because I do think it's a really stunning edition. Then next up, I got Silver Cloak, and mainly the reason I got this one is because it was £3 off. So this is by L.K. Stephen, who is the same author as These Infinite Fates, so Laura Stephen. I think this is just a slightly different pen name. And quite honestly, I don't know what this one's about, and I haven't really read the synopsis. I may go into this one a little bit blind, but it's one that I've seen a lot of people raving about, and it actually has the most beautiful coloured map on the standard edition. So again, it was one of the reasons I decided to pick this one up. But yeah, it just says that it's an addictive new fantasy series set in a world where magic is fueled by pleasure and pain, in which an obsessive detective infiltrates a brutal gang of dark mages, knowing that one wrong move will get her killed. So it sounds pretty intriguing. I've heard people really raving about this, raving about the writing in this, so when I seen it had a couple of pound off and how stunning the cover was in real life, I decided to take a chance on this one and get a copy for myself. Next up I got Holly by Adeline Grace, and this is kind of a novella set at Christmas, set in the same world as the Belladonna series, so I absolutely love that trilogy. If you really like a kind of gothic and dark fantasy with a bit of a murder mystery in the background as well, I think you'll really like that trilogy. And for me, I just absolutely love the writing in there as well. But this is a novella that's set in Christmas time around the same characters that we follow in the Belladonna series. So because I love that one so much, I knew I wanted to pick up a copy of this as well. And again, the standard covers of these are just really, really pretty. But this does have a few extra features as well. So it does have some foiling on the naked hardback, then it's slightly different on the back. And then the end papers are kind of a similar style and foiled as well. It is slightly different on the back there. And I just think the formatting of this book is absolutely beautiful. So I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to show this, but you'll see that there's kind of art on every page. The borders are really pretty, and we do have some kind of character prints throughout as well. But oh, I've just noticed at the top of the tree it's actually got Death, who is one of the characters in here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's pretty fun. But yeah, really excited about this one. I probably will keep this for around Christmas time to read, as it looks like it's going to be pretty short. It looks quite thick, but with all of the borders and everything, there's not too many words to a page, so I don't think it'll take me too long to read this one. But yeah, I think it'll be a perfect kind of Christmassy read. Then next up, I got a few books off HarperCollins directly. So usually I would go to Waterstones or kind of indie bookstores near me, and I've never really thought of buying directly from the publishers, but I signed up to the newsletter for HarperCollins and they basically have discounts all the time, and I managed to get quite a few books at 50% off, so that's probably why my book count is quite a bit up, even though only 2 from this list have been from there, so I can't really say. But yeah, a book that I had been interested in is this one, The Ordeals by Rachel Greenlaw, I believe. Yes, Rachel Greenlaw. And I'd heard great things about this one. I think it's a dark academia, where I basically think this woman who has escaped kind of her tyrannical uncle goes to this academy to get some respite, and that's all I really know. But I've just seen people really raving about this one, and because I got it from HarperCollins directly, it's usually £16, I think. I got a hardback for £8, which is really, really cheap in the UK, so I thought if I'm going to read it, I think the Kindle edition was going to be more expensive than that, so I thought might as well get a pretty hardback to read from instead of buying the Kindle edition. And worst case, if I don't like it, I didn't spend too much money on it, so I can donate it to the library or something like that. But yeah, that was the first book I got in that sale. And then another book that I kind of been deliberating whether I was going to get it. I do have the first book in the series in this special edition, but I wasn't sure if I was going to pick up the rest of the series. Even though it's a series I love, I'm just trying to be a bit more conscious, despite this big pile of books. I'm trying to be a bit more conscious on the books that I'm buying and kind of having duplicates of things. But this is a series that I really loved. So this is the second book in the Poppy War series. So I do have this special edition in the Poppy War, and I've been kind of deliberating whether to get this one because they're quite expensive. These are £35 each, and even though they're beautiful, they are quite expensive. But because they were having kind of the 50% off sale, I ended up getting this for the same price that you would get a standard hardback, so I couldn't really pass this up. So these are kind of redesigned. I think R.F. Kuang has said that she was so young when the series came out that she didn't really get too much of a say or autonomy on how the covers looked. She just kind of went with what the publishers wanted to do, and this was kind of her chance to have a bit more say on what they looked like, and this is what they've kind of come up with. So I really love the art style on here. I think it's really pretty, and we do have some sprayed edges. The foiling on the hardbacks are quite simple, but they are pretty. But again, there's quite a lot in here in terms of art. So the end papers are really pretty. They are different on the back. Quite a heavier book, so I don't know if it's going to be as easy as Holly to show you, but when you flick through, there are quite a few art prints in there as well. So if you're a fan of the series, I would highly recommend these editions. I know that Illumicrate have recently come out with some editions, but I actually prefer the art on here, so I'm really glad I decided to pick this up. I'm glad I got it at half price as well, because it made it a lot easier to justify for me. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out for the third one when it comes out, and hopefully I'll get a little sale and I can get the third one to match this one so that I have a complete set for this. But yeah, I couldn't really resist when it was half price. Okay, so we're finally to the subscription boxes that I've got here. So the first one is my Illumicrate for October, and I'm actually really excited about this because it's definitely fitting into that kind of lady night theme that we've seen in 2025. For some reason it's been a hot trend this year, and this is another one that kind of fits into that. So it's The Isle in the Silver Sea by Taisha Suri, and I honestly love the redesigned cover that they've done for this. I really love the original cover as well, but I really love the art style on here and the foiling, and it just looks like it's going to be a really good read. Then again on this one we do have some sprayed edges. We've got the end papers with some character art. It is different on the back as well. And then we've got this naked hardback, which I think is absolutely stunning. It's really, really pretty. Really love the art style on here. And this one is also signed. For this one, all I really know is that it's lady night vibes and sapphic, and that's all I've really heard about it. I think it's actually between a knight and a witch, which is really exciting. I mean, that's two things that I absolutely love. So other than that, I'm not really sure where the story will go with this one, but it is one that I definitely had on my radar, and I think this edition that they've done for Illumicrate is absolutely stunning. So really hoping I can maybe get this on my TBR before the end of the year. If not, it's definitely going to be a priority for 2026 because this just looks like it's definitely going to be my vibe. I'm a little bit scared to put this on that pile, so I'm just going to set this one down here. Next up, I've got a pre-order. It's from The Broken Binding, so it isn't a subscription I have, but it is an edition of a book that I have already read, and they done kind of a rerun of the book. As soon as I seen that, I rushed to kind of grab this and get a copy because I'd missed out on the first run. So I haven't opened this yet, so this is extremely well packaged. So let me just get all this packaging off. Bubble wrap as well, so I'm guessing the book is going to be absolutely fine. And it actually comes wrapped up as well, which is pretty cool, and you can see there's a little sticker on there. It's Blood over Brighthaven. So let me just dig into this package and we can see the book. Oh, it is so pretty. I absolutely love this edition. I love this art style. I think the artist done this one is the same as the Dragon Republic, but let me show you this one before we go into that. So as I say, this is Blood over Brighthaven, and this is by M.L. Wong, and I read this, I think it was the start of this year that I read this one. Absolutely loved it. 5 stars. It was quite different than anything I've read before, but I did really love the writing style and just kind of the message that was behind this one. I did miss out on the signed edition of this one, but they done a rerun of unsigned editions, so as soon as they brought that out, I snapped it up really quickly. So I'll just show you the back. Sprayed edges. Foiling on here is quite simple. Then we have some art on the end papers, and the back has some character art on there as well. And if you haven't heard about this one, it's basically following this woman who is the first mage to kind of get into this society that generally only admits males, and when she's there she ends up uncovering this conspiracy that could basically pull their world apart. It's quite a dark fantasy. There's a lot of themes in here of kind of racism and colonialism and things like that, and the way that it was written was just so masterfully done that it just really impacted me when I read it. I couldn't put it down. Our main character isn't always the most likable character, but I really loved watching her character development from the start to the end. So if you haven't read this one yet, I definitely highly recommend it. Don't think you can get this beautiful edition anymore, but if it's been on your mental TBR and you've been thinking about picking it up, I couldn't recommend this one any more highly. Okay. Last up, we've got my Fairy Loot subscription. So the young adult and the adult subscription, I get the combo box. I get the books only, but I do get them in a combo. So first up is the adult book, and we've got Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. So this is a book that I have another copy of. I did buy this book because I wasn't sure if I was going to love the Fairy Loot edition that I knew was coming. And at first, I'll be honest, when I seen this cover when other people were unboxing it, I wasn't too fussed, but in person, I do actually like it. I think it's really pretty. So this is the cover we've got there. Around the back. Then we do have some sprayed edges on there as well. The naked hardback is really pretty. I believe this one's set in kind of 1920s, so very art deco in the art here. And then we've got some character art on the inside, and it's also different on the back. There is a reversible dust jacket as well, and it's just the standard cover with a slightly different colorway. So in terms of what this one's about, it just says that doomed to die at midnight, Holland must find the legendary alchemical heart hidden in the magical world beneath Los Angeles. With danger and deception at every turn, she only has 48 hours to uncover the truth and survive. So that's all I really know about this one. It is getting quite mixed reviews, but I do feel like Stephanie Garber does get mixed reviews in general. I've really loved her writing before. I've really loved her series, so quietly hoping that I'm going to love this one as well, but I have seen quite mixed reviews for this one, so be intrigued to see how I find this one when I get to it. Then last up, we've got the YA pick for October. And the pick was Thorn Season by Kira Assar, and I really like this cover. I really like the colour scheme they've went for. And this one, it just says, in a kingdom where those who wield secret and deadly magic risk execution, Alicia must conceal her powers to survive. Amidst a court of hidden agendas and dangerous allies, she must become sharper than the thorns that surround her. So I think just looking at some of the art, I think it's going to be quite Regency. As you can see here, I think we're going to have balls and things like that. Then we do have some more character art on the back. But just to give you kind of a full view of the dust jacket, quite simple in terms of the design. I think this is similar to the original one, I'm not too sure. And then we've got some pretty sprayed edges as well. Then this is the naked hardback. It's not really giving us much in terms of what the story might be about. Oh, and actually just looking at these end papers, I can see that behind the dust jacket we do have a third character. Guessing it's going to be a love triangle. It is YA, so that's usually par for the course when you're reading these. And for some reason I feel like he's going to end up being the love interest, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then, okay, yeah, it must be quite different. So this is the reversible dust jacket, and I believe this is the standard cover, guessing just in a slightly different colorway. So I haven't heard many people talk about this one, so I'm not really sure what the reaction's been or if it's popular or not. I have seen the cover, but as I say, I haven't heard anyone actually reading this one and what their kind of thoughts and feelings were on it. So unsure on this one, not sure when I'll get to it, but it definitely sounds like something that could be quite intriguing. So definitely still piquing my interest, but yeah, just not quite sure when I'll get to this one. I don't want to put the other hardbacks on there because I feel like this is about to topple because it's based on paperbacks, but that's it. That's all the books I hauled in October. I think that's enough for a year for most people, but I don't know what came over me. I was obviously really in a book buying mood, so I'm not even going to come up with any excuses. I was just in the mood to buy books, it would seem, but quite a few of these are ones that I did end up reading. I had the e-arc for and I just wanted to get a physical copy, but I do have quite a few on here of anticipated reads, so hopefully I will be able to get to those soon. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts and feelings were, or any of these books ones that you would prioritise on your TBR. Definitely tell me if you think I should be picking one of these up sooner rather than later in the comments below. And let me know the books that you bought in October and books that you're adding to your TBR, because even though my TBR is never ending, I'm always looking for new recommendations. But if you don't have anything to comment, just put a little book emoji to let me know you got to the end. If you like this video, do remember to give it a like, and if you want to see more from me, remember to subscribe. I post 2 videos per week and it's videos like this, so book hauls, book shopping, TBR jars, all good bookish things like that. Other than that, thanks so much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one soon. Bye!